My name is Nyalela Obonno. 23 years old. I'm a nursing student, so I'm in my second year of nursing. Child of God, obviously. I do gospel music, so I would say I'm a gospel minister. And yeah, there's not much to it.
Yeah, I didn't want to say your name because I was like, I might say it wrong.
I'm trying to get everyone to say it properly now.
That's good. Because I've been practicing it. I was like, Nyalela, Nyalela, Nyalela. And I was like, okay, I have to get it right. Because what does it mean anyways?
There's no meaning.
How's that?
It's like a, you have your name and then there's like a, where you're from, like a clan kind of thing. I don't know how to say it in English, but it's, so a lot of people, if they ask you, what's your clan or something, they say Nyalela. And then that's how we know we're kind of related, So when I was born, my dad didn't know what to name me. My grandma didn't know, so they just...
Okay, man, okay. So recently, you did a project, which I was heavily part of, but I want to hear from your side, how's the experience for you? Actually, what made you want to do that? Why did you do that?
I remember it was, I think, December last year. I just experienced I wouldn't say life-changing, but I had something happen in my life and it redirected me back to God. And I was in Christ already, but I was distracted. And that experience made me come back to God in a more deeper way. And I remember I began fasting, I began praying. And one day I was in my room and something told me to go outside to the living room and listen to worship. So I took my book and I was just listening, and I was listening to Victor Thompson. And he was just in a room and there was people around him and they were just singing, and something was like, I want you to do something like that.
Oh, wow.
I was like...
That's powerful.
And literally everything was coming, the name Open Worship. At first it was Open Heavens and then Open Worship just came. And then it was like God was telling me what exactly he wanted me to do, how many backup singers. He was giving me the expectation I should have and everything. And it kind of reminded me of a prophecy I received 2 years back. And one of the pastors, they were like, oh, I saw you were on stage and there was a big crowd and you were singing. And at that time I was...
you didn't have, you were like,
I was singing the choir, but no. I was like, I want to be a preacher, so that's literally how it started.
When did you do your first music? Was it when did you start releasing your own music actually?
2021.
2021.
Okay. I think mid.
This is 2023.
So
it's 2 years later, you did a whole, because it was big. I'm pretty sure it was bigger than what you even expected.
Man, I was shocked. I was shocked.
Wow. So how's the planning? Leading to that day, how's the planning?
It was stressful. I started in January. I thought I had a lot of time, but because there was so many events going on and stuff. Time just
went by.
I think it taught me to be patient. Working with people was not easy. I had times where I just wanted to strangle people. It's and obviously people have their own commitments and stuff. It was very stressful, but it was rewarding, everything turned out well. And I've learned to prepare a bit more. Next time.
I mean, it was, did you ever had a time where you're like, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore? During rehearsals, or there was a week where you're like, you know what, Kalas, I'm done.
I think it was 2 weeks before, I had times before that where I was like, yo, this is not it. But I started doubting myself, my ability. And I was like, oh, I don't think I can, lead the songs well. A lot of especially one song, I Trust in You. I was like, yo, that song is testing me. But I really did have times where I wanted to just drop everything.
But what did you learn from the experience after doing the whole thing? Now you look back and you're like, wow,
Yeah. I look back and I'm like, yo, like I'm actually capable of like doing something like this. I think the biggest thing for me was I was still new, and obviously like people wait until they're like relevant to do something like that.
That's right.
And it really taught me like not to listen to the outside. I did get like some advice like, oh, you know, you should hold off, like, because I did want to do like an album and stuff. It's like, oh, you should hold off until people know who you are. But then I learned that, you know, if God knows who you are, everyone's gonna know who you are. You know what I mean? Like God is the one that would exalt you in the right time. So yeah, I learned a lot. Like
that's good. Yeah, because like I realized that with like even ministry, there are people that they just start their journey, and like not long after that, God just like takes them. And I think it comes back to the training, the maturity level. So, and then there's another person who could like be in church for such a long time, and it will still take them so long to like get up there. And I think people expect the same thing for everybody. And then people be like, why is she in such a hurry
doing too much
to make it to the world, you know? Like people do have that, but at the end of the day, it's God who will order your steps and like show you where to go and what to say, and you know, the timing and everything, it's all on God. And it was great. Like I got to work closely with you on that project, and I mean, I had my moments too. I was like, yo, people, you better just, you know, but it was a great experience as a music director. And I was like, this is good. Like, I really love this. Like, cause it was my first proper, kind of like directing another person's concert. So it was like really cool. So I was like, oh yeah.
And it teaches you a lot, right?
Like, it does. Yeah. So what did that whole experience like teach you about people? Like the people within as a band, like how important is it to have the right kind of team?
It's so important. I think the biggest thing I learned is not everyone sees what you do the way you see it. Do you know what I mean? They don't see the vision the way you do, and you've got to accept that. You know what I mean? Like, and I've learned that people are just different. Like,
that's right.
You know, like when I do something, I like to put my all into it, and then you have people that are just laid back. Especially like with musicians, like you get very talented people that they don't even need to practice like that. They just pick it up like that, and practice is not like a big thing. Like they can literally show up on the day and it looks like they've practiced like the whole time. But it's just, I think the biggest thing is like no one is like you, so you can't expect people to do the things you do and the way you do. Like, and it's taught me, like, you know, even for the future, like I have a vision that God has given me. These people may understand it, but just because they're not understanding or reciprocating that in the way that I feel like they should, I shouldn't get upset about it, or I shouldn't like drop everything because these people are not listening. Everyone's on different parts of lives, especially spiritually. You know, like we want like a man that's so spiritual, praying in tongues and all that stuff. You see, like, you know, GUC and like all that stuff on like YouTube, and you want that exactly. But I feel like you have to work with who you've got.
That's right.
And God, you never know, God would use you to bring these people up.
And like, I think it was like a couple of days ago. I was watching this Nigerian people with their worship, and I was like, we can't have that in Australia because these people's their foundation, the kind of revival they received, we haven't got that. And I was watching, I think, Sumisola, like even the band, the people who are like BVs and the players, all on the floor, and I was like, try that in Australia. It won't work because you're like, nah. Like people are so like, and I've come to understand that Australia is not a musical country. It's not an entertainment-based country. It's more of a business country. That's why, like, I think even as musicians, like when an artist starts off here, they leave and go to UK, or they go to America or something, because there's no much support here. And so like. And it comes back to what you're saying, like really knowing like the people that you work with, because I've been looking, I've been searching. I'm like, there's few that understand it. Even like some key players, you can tell you're like, oh, this guy's deep. He's got the Holy Ghost leading him. And then the rest are like, they still want to, you know, have fun on Friday night and then still play at a concert. So it's like, you know, like, I guess it comes back to really like just knowing who you are as yourself. And then when you are in that space, even though you're working with someone who's not in the same level
Yeah.
as you, when you make it clear to them what your vision is, they'll respect that.
They'll respect it.
Yeah. And if
definitely.
someone doesn't respect it, then they gotta go. Like
Yeah.
it's as simple as that, because what you're doing is you're trying to deliver something, and they need to help you to be able to like deliver the word.
There's a lot of people that do gospel music, but their lives are not aligning, you know,
Right.
with what they're doing.
Yeah.
So if you are a gospel minister and you want to bring people on board, and you yourself, you're not exemplifying what you put out there,
Yeah.
no one's going to take you serious, and no one's going to want to take the God you serve serious.
That's right.
And like, I feel like for me, like I've changed my perspective. I'm like, okay, like I may be working with people that they love God, but they may not be as serious with God. But I believe that by my example, like by the way I live, or by the way I conduct myself with these things, they will see and be like, hey, Nyalela's doing this.
Right.
I aspire to be like that.
Yeah.
Or I want to, you know, pick myself up a little bit. And that's why I always say, like, it always comes down to us.
Yeah.
You know, and if we as gospel ministers, or like people that have influence, if we, you know, bring ourselves up and actually live by the truth and be serious, a lot of people will follow, you know. A lot of people will begin to take, like, you know, even playing, they won't ask for money to play. They'll play because of the love of God, you know.
That's right. Yeah.
And you'll see a change, but until then.
Yeah, no, yeah. I guess it is like, it's about us like living by an example.
Yeah.
And like one thing I've come to understand is that there are two types of people.
Yeah.
When it comes in the gospel music industry. There are those who just do music because they love music.
Yes.
And then there are those who do music because they are called to do it. Do you see yourself more so in the church leading worship, more of a worship leader, or as an artist where you're more creative and you create things on the music video side?
I like the music videos. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know. Like, I feel like I don't want to be an entertainer. You know what I mean? I don't want to do things for the hype. So maybe, like, I feel like you can be creative.
In between.
In between. Like, you can be creative, but still, like, as a worship leader. I've seen that. But yeah.
I mean, Cold Out Music is like that.
Yeah.
He does his Afro music here and there, and still, even I was watching his latest concert, and he was able to bring worship into the atmosphere, and then at the same time bring that cool vibe of Afro. So it's like knowing the balance in between. Like, you're still, you know, worshiping God, you're still leading people, and you know, so I guess it works either way.
I haven't tried it though, like Afrobeat, like, I don't know. Hey.
No.
Yeah.
But I can see you're a praise person.
Yeah.
Like I was like, this one is for the Sudanese people. Like the whole seven, the whole just. Yeah. Because me, I can't dance. I'm stiff as a stick. So I'm not even gonna go there. Like, I won't try it. Like, I'll just stick to my slow stuff and.
Slow,
yeah. Like, and I guess it's not for everybody, but once you know who you are, and you know your style, it makes you unique.
Exactly.
Yeah, because a lot of people, when they start off, they try to be like another person. They try to like imitate another artist or how another person does their style of music, and then they try to even sound like that person.
I feel like I'm still trying to find like my sound. Like I realize I do love to praise.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel it's confusing, and it like, even when it comes to, okay, like if I ever want to do an EP, my music's all over the place. Like, you know, like I'm still trying to figure out what my sound is. Yeah.
It does take time for you to like find yourself, find your sound. Like I could say maybe even years, and it takes a lot of confusion before you can get there, because like, me right now, I'm like, I think I'm a bit stuck. I don't know where I want to go now. Yeah. So it's like, and then at the same time, it's really about hearing what God wants you to do, like where He wants you to go. Like sometimes some sounds are for a season, and I'm starting to understand that now. And like some sounds are for a season, and then you have different people that are gonna like your different sounds.
Exactly.
So you might give out a bit of worship, and then you have certain audience that like that worship.
Yes.
And then they'll go with that. And then you have people who like the whole seven vibe, and then they'll go with that.
Yeah.
So you're gonna be, and it's good to be unique and also like be like diverse.
Yeah.
Like, because if you have the same sound all the time, people are just gonna be like, I'll listen to her when I'm ready again, because I always listen to the same kind of sound. So I guess as an artist, you need to be diverse, be able to like people internationally should be able to relate to your sound, unless if God did not take you to that, you know, journey. What is worship? What does worship mean to you?
Worship.
Yeah.
I find worship, like, for me, the easiest form of, like, communicating to God. It's, like, very intimate to me. It brings me to a place where, like, I'm no longer, like, focusing on myself, but focusing on God. Yeah, worship is deep. I feel like it carried me through a lot, especially, like, before I even became born again. I remember every time I'd go through something, the first response, worship. Like, I'd worship God. And it's like, even coming to Christ with everything that I've been going through, it's like, I listen to worship music, I'm okay. You know what I mean? And it's not always the worship music that is like, I. Because you do get worship music that is like that. But like worship music that glorifies God, that's the one that really uplifts, you know, my spirit and others as well. But yeah, worship.
And I think like that's how we're meant to write songs as Christians or worship artists. We're meant to write songs that are kind of directing everything back to God.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we're meant to not write songs about I and all that. Like, I mean, when you look at King David, he spoke of his distress and everything, but he still gave it back to God.
Yeah,
you know?
No, definitely.
Yeah, and then, I mean, there are seasons for that kind of song.
Yes.
And then there are seasons for where you got to write a song, it's just glorifying God, it's just magnifying God. Because when you look at the song Alpha and Omega, that's one song, it never gets old. It never gets old. Why? Because it's on God. Like, it's about God. It's not about anybody. It's about glorifying God. And I think that's where, like, that's how he wants us to write. And when you sing songs like that, even if nobody wants to get in the spirit, God will show up.
Yeah, he'll show up.
He'll show up. Because you're putting him in the center of everything. So he'll show up. Yeah, worship is deep.
It's deep. It's so deep.
Yeah, like, and I feel like it's really undermined because people think that worship is the slow song.
Let's not go there.
They think worship is the slow song, but I'm like, who even named, you know, that section in church? That
worship.
15 minutes. Who named it worship session? Or even named the songs worship songs? Like, because now it limits us to the moment you say worship, I think of a slow song.
Yeah, slow song.
Yeah, but if you think about it, our whole life is worship.
Exactly.
Our lifestyle is worship. Whatever you do, even playing on the keys or singing or preaching at church, that's worship.
That's worship.
Yeah. So I think like once we're able to understand what that is, it makes it so easy. You're like, my everyday life is worship to God. Yeah. So like, what's your mindset now after doing an event about concerts? Like when it comes to the aspect of, let's say, tickets and things like that. Because I know for a fact that you're one of those that were like, tickets? Yeah. So now, since you've done one yourself, I want to know, like, because financially, concerts take a lot from people. Yeah. So what's your mindset now?
I feel like it hasn't really changed. Like, I do believe it differs. Like, something like open worship, I see it as a free space for people. I do, like, you know, when people do like album launches or like album recordings where they need people to come, you can charge, and I don't have a problem with people that charge. I feel like maybe one day I will be charging people, but after open worship, it didn't discourage me but encouraged me. You know, because like obviously I wasn't really concerned about how many people or like how much money I will get back from it, because God provided already.
That's good.
You know, but just to see that, you know, it was like an open free space, people came and people actually received, makes me want to do another one and not charge people, let them come freely. And I believe like God will touch the heart of those, because there are times where like you could charge and you're not even going to make the same money. But what I experienced with open worship was I didn't charge, but the money I got back was more than what I put in. You know,
that's powerful.
So it all comes down to your like your personal conviction. Sometimes like you don't have the conviction to not charge people. Like you charge people, and God's not gonna hate you for that, or God's not gonna tell you why. Yeah, I feel like everyone is different, and we shouldn't follow another person. Like, say if I didn't charge, or Nyalela didn't charge, and these, you know,
like,
she has this testimony. I don't want to charge too. I want to get that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it doesn't work. Like the grace is different. You know.
That's the word. Yeah, the grace is different, and God has different ways of how He'll provide for every person. So like that's actually really powerful. Like, so are you going to be doing Open Worship Volume 1, Open Worship Volume 2? Are you going to be changing the names?
I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
I do believe that I should do it again. But yeah, I don't know if it's going to be like an annual thing, like every year. But yeah, I believe another one will be coming soon.
That's good.
By the grace of God.
We're here for it. We're waiting.
I don't know, man. I feel traumatized. You know how you said you were traumatized from fresh experience? Yeah. I felt like that, man. Like,
it's gonna take a while before you jump back in.
Like, I feel so like exhausted. Like I want to go record more music, but it's like, where do I start now? Like, you know, your energy is all just
And it's also important to really take that break. Yeah. Because if you keep pushing yourself to the limits, you're going to get burnt out. Exactly. And when you get burnt out, you lose interest in work. You won't have that passion. You'll kill the passion. So it's important to just take that break, even if it's for a year. It's okay. Like, you can still be seeing other people releasing stuff, but if you feel like it's not ready for you, then, you know, you stay and wait.
Yeah, exactly.
You stay and wait. Exactly. And like the time will come, and when you get back in, it will feel fresh and new. Like,
that's what I wanted.
Yeah. And to be honest, it's been 2 years now. 2 years since I did Fresh Experience. And I'm like, oh, it's actually been 2 years.
It seems like yesterday, like literally.
It does feel like yesterday, but now I feel ready to get back into it. Okay, I feel like, okay, I'm like energized. Yeah. I don't feel that trauma anymore. Because you do get traumatized, man. You do get traumatized. And
be careful, guys.
Yeah. Like, and I feel like sometimes we need to share more about like what happens behind the preparation, so that way people can really understand what we go through. So did you have any challenges with like musicians charging you and things like that?
I did. Like, it was difficult because I didn't know people like that. Like, I only knew someone through someone. So it was like not personal. And like, you know, with musicians, especially like in Brisbane or Australia, they're very like, if I don't know this person,
I'm not going.
Who's playing? I didn't know who's playing before I come and commit. But yeah, I did have like, I would say one particular person that wanted to charge me like
ridiculous
amount. I'm talking K's.
No,
just for one.
You're joking.
Just for one like instrument. But I didn't really have many people that gave me that. Gave me that vibe, which was good.
That's good.
But I think there was like a bit of like overcommitment. Like, people would commit knowing that they couldn't really, but they really loved the vision. They really wanted to be a part. They really wanted to help. But they just got lost in it.
I mean, like, there's no issue with like paying people for their work. But I feel like people need to understand the like, let's say where you're at. They need to see, okay, she's starting off.
I'm not Mercy Channel, man. Like,
thank you.
The money.
Thank you. Like, they need to understand, like, okay, this person is still working to support the music. They're not getting anything back from the music yet. So let me try and work with them. But if you feel like it's not in your level, then be like, I'm sorry, I can't, you know. Like, but sometimes I feel like some people do kind of go extra where they just want to like, I mean, I've had the same experience, and I have no issue with blessing the people that because God, you know, requires us to bless people for the labor and the work that they do for us. But you as an artist, would you put a price on yourself? And if someone invites you, would you, like, I know you don't charge for your concerts, but as an artist, would you charge?
No. I don't think
not yet.
So.
Or not at all?
I honestly, like, for me, I actually thought about it, and I One person that really encouraged me, I think it was Nathaniel Bassey.
Yep.
Yeah, he was really speaking about like how, like, you know, the gift that God has given to you, it's a gift. Like, you don't put a price on the gift that was given to you.
That's right.
It's like me giving you something and then you go charge people for what I've given to you for free, you know. And back again, like what I said, I do believe God will bless me. And he has never failed in that area. Like, if I was to get invited, I think I've been invited like to go to like a different state and stuff. The most I just say is like, okay, just book my ticket.
That's the
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Book my ticket. And it depends, you know what I mean? Like, if it's, I remember when I went to Melbourne for a conference, and the person that invited me was actually a friend. And I knew like she wasn't, you know, capable of like hotels, all that stuff that, you know, but I just, you know, she was able to book the ticket. I said, no problem, I'll come. Sort out my accommodation. But I feel like the least people should do is do that. Because when it comes to like like gospel artists or like musicians, they're very like, you get your own way there. But if it's a pastor, tickets booked, hotel booked, like everything is paid for. Like the same, like there's this, I wouldn't say, what did you say, respect? Or they don't honor the gift that much, you know? But yeah, I don't think I would ever charge.
No, that's fair. Like, I did listen to Nathaniel's thingy. I was like, yeah, that's good. Like, I believe that's his conviction as well. And the guy is actually a worshiper. He's a worship pastor. He's not an artist. So it kind of makes sense. Like, and also like he knows that God will provide for him, you know, in that area, like regardless of what or not. English. I was like, what
it's
is
not
that?
our language.
No. But yeah, like, I guess it really just comes back down to like, and I think it is okay for people to book your accommodation. And I think that should be like the least, you know, because you're inviting someone, you should be able to provide for them. Like, for example, when we used to have events in Brisbane, people would invite, you know, ministers to come and minister, but they don't accommodate for them. They just bring them to their house. I find that really uncomfortable, especially if you have a full house with family. You don't want to bring someone to come in. And what if they want a space to kind of like meditate? True. And so if you can, you know,
if
you
it's
provide.
in your capacity.
So I guess it's about knowing, you know, the level of what you can not. And I mean, I personally, I have put a price on myself, but I don't push it in people's face, you know. If you can, you can. If not, it's cool too. But like, now I realize people are seeing that and they're like, nah, I'm not going there. She's so expensive. Expensive? Nah.
I remember I heard a story about like there's like people, like ministers, when they get invited somewhere, you're paying like 10K.
No, that's
20K. Mad. And like, but the way it was explained was, say for example, you get invited and then they say, okay, this is the money, it's not going to me, but I need to pay my musicians. So they're traveling with musicians that need to be paid, like it's like their full-time job. And I feel like that's okay, but I feel like if you do invite someone, I wouldn't say mandatory, but you should have the heart to bless that person. Do you know what I mean?
It is mandatory.
And I feel like, say for example, like you're a gospel artist, right? And people know you. People know the music that you do, like, and when you're in your own, like the Bible says, a prophet is not honored in his own country. So I feel like that's a big problem now. Like, if they invite you to, you know, come minister or like come say music direct somewhere, they'll be like, I know Priscilla, I don't like that. Like, and then someone from outside, you
they
give
pay.
it so quick.
They pay.
And it's like, I like, it's upsetting, and I do understand why people do put a price on themselves now because of that. Like the familiarity is too much.
It's too much. It is too much. And I remember one time I was invited somewhere, and then people were selling tickets for this concert, and then one person made a comment, they're like, why should I pay $20 to come and see Priscilla? And I was like, my
God, you don't have $20 get out here. Like,
honestly, like, and like, it's like, I feel like, I was talking to Pastor George. I brought this question up to him about it, and he was like telling me about how West Africans are givers.
Oh, big
they can
time.
give. These guys can give. And he was like, that's because they got that teaching about giving. But Sudanese people, we didn't get that teaching. When the gospel came to us in Sudan, it was like later on, and it came to like Catholic, the United. And so there was no much fundamental of like the apostolic teaching going on. And so we didn't get that. And now what happened was, let's say the Baptists or the Catholics, if you're doing ministry with them, they provide things for you. They buy you a car, they give you accommodations, this and that and that. And so that's what happened to our pastors in Sudan.
Yeah.
And so they didn't know much about giving out, but they see the church as that, church gives. It's not the church that receives from people. True. So now that's where I feel like the struggle comes from for us as, artists. They'll be like, why you want to charge? Things of God should be for free. Just imagine someone starts charging $50. No one will come to the concert.
It is so quiet. No one, it's going to be empty.
It's going to be empty because now what they don't understand is you have to pay a cameraman, you have to pay a photographer, you have to pay a sound engineer, and then you have probably 8 musicians on the stage, and everyone have their own prices.
Yep.
And then you're out here, you work a disability job. What's going to happen?